the live stream one.
Right.
Let's just see if it works.
All right, it's streaming live, it says.
I don't think it's, just waiting to see if it comes live.
Would it be in your news feed?
Yeah. Looks like we're live now. That's cool. All right. So yeah, let's just continue on from
all right.
But yeah, like, as was like, you know, I've just seen it with our with my clients, just the, you know, when you have something like profit first in their business, it takes them out of that negative scarcity world, and like it gives them life. You know, it's a real transformation of going from, oh, struggling, scarcity, you know, like that constant struggle, to actually having it's like possibility opens up.
Well, I think we've been raised in such a way that we have beliefs around money and around the accumulation of it, and whether it's hard to get, you know, it takes money to make money, and work hard, get ahead. We've got all of these held beliefs that has been inspired and taught to us by good-meaning, well-meaning parents and well-meaning teachers and associates and things like that. But I think really when you take a deep look and you really question whether it's true or not true, so many of these things that we've used as markers in our life are not true, and yet we're making decisions based on them. For a long time, I used to think work hard, get ahead was the way things were, because it's based on the work ethic, the Christian work ethic. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I guarantee you the guy that's making $1 billion, you know, or $1 million is not working any harder than the guy that's digging a ditch. He's probably working a lot less than the guy that's digging a ditch.
Well, it just, you know, it's pretty obvious. The person that earns $100 a week compared to the person that earns $10,000 a week, they're not, you know, you can't work any more hours in the day.
Right.
What I see is like so much guilt around not being busy. And this is what really, like, this is what I'm all about. This really pisses me off. You know, like
absolutely
that whole guilt train that everyone's been just bred into, where you have to be working hard. And it's like, it's such a load of bullshit. Like, I just, yeah, it's, and this, like, coming back to the profit first money thing, it's like, when you have money in your accounts, you get choice, more choice.
Right.
More opportunity. It's not, okay, you know, I'm going to have to work harder to make more. No, if you actually have some money in your account, you get to make a choice instead of living in complete scarcity with no choice. And then you do have to work hard.
Right.
Like it's self-inflicted.
Yeah. And it's, you know, that's absolutely the case. And I think the other thing, especially in business, and I've been in business, you know, for a long time, there is the busyness of business, BUSY of business.
Yeah.
And this goes to your point of, I need to be busy all the time. And that's absolutely not the case. You need to be effective at what you're doing. And, you know, one of the things that I do with my clients is I teach them this reverse busyness model. And it's kind of like, you know, as your business grows and it becomes bigger and more complex, the natural tendency is for everything else to increase. The amount of time that you're spending in the business increases with the complexity of the business. You've got like people to manage.
Yeah. And like, this goes back to, like, I know we've been talking since, what was it, 2010, 2011?
Long time.
Long time. We've been friends. It's great. And I remember, like, one of the first times we talked, you said the aim should be to multiply the business, and in the reverse way, reduce the workload.
Exactly. Inverse relationship, inverse work law, right? So if I double my business, I need to work half as hard. If I quadruple my business, I need to work 1/4 as hard.
Exactly.
And that is the initial reaction is that's not possible to do that. And then it's like, wait a minute, it absolutely is possible to do that.
You know what's really funny is I've got a client at the moment, Tim, they operate in the physical product space or in the farming industry, and he's working this out. This last 9 months, it's clicking, like there's big cogs shifting, and he's really enjoying it. And the thing is, the business is still growing. It's actually growing more quickly, more efficiently.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's enjoying it more. He's becoming he's growing into a bigger person. And I wish I had someone in my ear at his age. He's like 24.
Oh, I know.
It's great. It's like, for me, it's enjoyable to see. It's like, not even from the money perspective or any of that. It's just great to see him growing as a person.
This is the satisfaction. This is the life satisfaction of being a mentor. This is what it's all about, to be a mentor.
Yeah. It's about
to provide the pathway for them to discover the full potential of themselves.
Yeah. And it's like we were talking about earlier, the true impact of what I like to do, and I'm sure for yourself too, it's like the true impact of working with your ideal client is the actual kind of ongoing ripple effect of a bigger life versus just making a few extra dollars. It's so, you have so many people come to you and they go, oh, I want to make some money. It's like, yeah, that's easy, but when are you going to grow up?
Well, and I think the thing is that, we've talked in the past about the concept of scarcity. We live in a world of scarcity. So much of business has been taught, for me to win, you got to lose. I'm going to take the business from you and grow my business. I don't believe that there is such a thing as scarcity. We're in this world to create infinite abundance. And if you're a true entrepreneur, the satisfaction of being able to create something from nothing, create a business from an idea, that's abundance. That's not taking from somebody else. That's an example of someone who's worked for someone as a job for so long. And that's where that scarcity comes from, is because they're used to getting that paycheck.
It's sad. Like I see it sometimes in clients where they have that scarcity mindset towards the work that you're doing for them. And they see it like they live in such scarcity that they're scared to tell you about their win.
Well, and this is an absolute dead giveaway, is that if someone is beating you up on price, and they're trying to get you to change your engagement fee, I say, listen, you're coming from a position of reduction as an expense. You're looking at me as a cost. You're looking at me as something that can be reduced.
Yeah.
But here's the way I work. Give me $1 and I'm going to give you $10 back.
You always see it, and you see it first in that lack of transparency. You ask, like I had a classic conversation years ago, and I tell this story often, but I had a classic conversation years ago with a very, very successful business person.
Mm-hmm.
And, I asked a simple question of, what was your turnover last month? And they spent 20 minutes dodging the conversation until I had to yell down the phone. And you see that now, like it's a dead giveaway. When someone can't answer a straight question like, what did you earn last month? We're in a business conversation. And
not a judgment conversation.
A business conversation about growth. And when I ask that question now and someone dodges that question, it's so plainly obvious that
not a client,
that they feel that I might be jealous of what they're earning.
Oh my gosh.
And that is just like, to me, is so hysterical, coming from the position of, I'm here to help you grow. I've chosen my life. I don't need to earn what you earn or whatever. Like, I have clients earning $10,000 a month. I have clients earning million, doing $1 million launches kind of thing. And to have someone, it's kind of hysterical to me. And but you do see that. And this is this ingrained thought of, the guilt around money, the guilt around being busy, the guilt around, not being able to tell people, money being a taboo conversation. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it really comes down to belief. They don't believe in themselves.
True.
And even if they're experiencing temporary prosperity, if they honestly don't believe in their value and what they're creating and the authenticity, the genuineness of what they're doing, it's only going to be temporary. It's easy come, easy go. It's like the big lottery win and then you're broke, in 6 months.
Worthiness issues, ego,
right.
Beating their chest, buying fancy toys, and it's
fast cars, flashy cars, flashy stuff,
flashy houses,
it's flashy houses. Yeah. I mean, there's not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
People can, whatever it is satisfying your need. If the amount of scarcity in your life is satisfied with that level of consumption, that's great. But one of the things that I try and get people to understand is to say, okay, what's the best year you ever had? And they'll say, okay, well, last year, the best year I ever had, I made $200,000. And I say, well, what would your life be like if you earned net $2 million in a year? Oh, that would never happen. Well, as soon as they respond with that kind of a response, I can tell that they've got a limitation, a self-imposed limitation, a glass ceiling, right? So it's like, well, let's just do that. How would you spend $2 million if you had $2 million to spend? If I give you, 20 minutes, and you've got to spend $2 million, how would you spend $2 million in 20 minutes?
And that's probably the harder conversation for most people to have. They've never done that exercise.
They haven't thought about it.
Because they haven't done the exercise, they can't actually earn the money because they don't know what they would do with it. Like, they have any excess just gets thrown away.
There's no end in sight. It's like the whole aspect of begin with the end in mind. What's your end goal here? If you don't have an end goal, earning money means nothing because it'll just fill the void.
Yeah. And that, coming full circle, come back to profit first, that's why profit first is so beautiful, because it gives you allocation. Like now at the moment, and I've been running profit first for a while now, and this isn't a profit first advertorial or anything like that. It's just
great system.
It's a great system. And like, I've been running it for a while now, where I've set up multiple vaults of money where I'm just stockpiling cash, because it's like, I've got a allocation for different things within the business, and taxes, everything's paid for. And when you wake up every morning and everything's paid for, and you've got stockpiles of cash both in the business and personally, it's like doors just open, they fly open. And yet people are so reluctant to put a money system in place.
It's interesting that you bring this up. I'm a profit first master, but I don't sell profit first. I don't sell it as a service, but it is included in every coaching engagement that I do. It's fundamentally required, because you cannot manage the success that you're capable of doing until you take care of the financial aspect of your business in a systematic way. And this is the easiest systematic model I've ever seen. And I've run 250 companies through this now. And I've got a Facebook group that's specialized in a specific niche that's got 1,500 people in it. And it's because they're looking for a way to manage that financial component. They don't feel sufficient control.
The importance of this is so, like, I make all my clients use it now. And not because I want to sell, I don't even sell the book. I tell them to go and buy it, or I might buy it for them or whatever, you know, like I have no interest in growing Profit First, the company or anything like that. No affiliation, don't care. The only reason I do it is because it provides opportunity for them. Like Tim, the guy I mentioned earlier, we implemented that and it transformed their company. Going from having no cash in, like constantly dipping into their own savings to put back into the business to grow the business, to now having an excess of cash overflowing where they can pick and choose what they want to do next.
Right.
Like transformative. And like, yeah, as I said, this isn't supposed to be a Profit First conversation or ad, but and we can go in any direction, we can change the topic, but it's so important. And I wish people would get this. Like, I wish people would get this, because it's without the money system in place, you can't grow.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think we need to kind of move off the mechanism that we use so successfully. And really, you know, as business advisors and coaches, you know, I feel our role, and what I tell people when they say, what do you do? And I say, listen, I'm a personal fitness trainer for business. I'm going to take you as an individual and an individual business, and I'm going to look at your stature. I'm going to look at whether you're overweight. Are you eating junk food? Do you have the right, you know, which is the right kinds of clients? You know, what is it that I need to do to get you into peak performance condition? And that's where Profit First was one element of getting a business in peak performance condition. Wow. And it's preparing people for success. Just saying, I want to be successful is not enough. We have to literally look beyond the desire to the outcome.
And this is what kind of pisses me off in the whole coaching industry these days, because everyone will tell you, you need to spend more money on Facebook and you need a funnel and you'll be successful. And it is such BS.
It's so tactical and it's hollow. It's completely hollow. There's no purpose behind it.
It's, you know, it's deception, really. You know, it's deceptive marketing.
It's seeing this much. It's seeing this much of the big picture.
Because I see clients that are successful. They know how to run ads. They know how to set up funnels. They are very savvy marketers, and they struggle to pay the bills. And they're earning within that, like they're earning good money, maybe 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, and they can't pay their bills. And they're wondering, they come going, I need to make my business bigger. No, you dummy.
You just want to grab them and shake them.
No, I know. Maybe we should change topics. Hey, I wanted to ask it, because you're up, for the people watching, I guess, you're in the San Francisco area. How are the fires? You said it's a bit smoky today.
Well, it's been really bad the last month. And right now we've been, it's been hot. This week has been in the high 30s centigrade. So the high 90s,
Wow.
you know, all 38, 39, 36, 37 every day. And we've been lucky for the last week or so, the wind has been blowing away from us, but the fires in California are still burning. They're going to burn until the rain and the snow comes. There's just millions of acres that have already burned. I think there are over 4 million acres burned now. But today it's
a bit the same as us last summer.
Yeah, exactly.
If it gets into the wrong area, you can't control it.
Well, we had in California, we had major drought for 5 years, 6 years. And then that stressed the trees out in the forest, and they had a huge infestation of pine bark beetles, and that killed 175 million native pine trees. So here you have wood that's been dead and drying for 5 years, It's just waiting to burn.
Yeah.
And so it's creating this incredible fuel load.
Big matchsticks.
They are.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
It's crazy stuff. But
have you got,
it's like, I hate it because you can't breathe. I mean, I walk every day. And you know, it's like I walk about between 8 and 10 kilometers a day, every day. And I can't walk because the air is so bad. And with the COVID situation, you don't want to stress your lungs out in a situation where, you know, you put yourself at risk. So it's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we've been pretty lucky here. Like, I'm obviously Queensland based. So we're, you know, our premier locked down the state pretty early on. She was like bashed for it horrifically. But I think it was a wise move in the end that, you know, we haven't had many COVID cases at all. And, you know, we're north of where the fires were earlier this year. So we've had we've done it pretty easily. Whereas Victoria, they've
had a hard time of it.
You know, it's been through winter and they've been locked down with masks, like full lockdown. It must be tough. I feel for them because, you know, like, we're getting to enjoy the ocean and the sun and, you know, every day outside. And
that's why you haven't had too many cases. People are healthy. You know, it's the ones that the people that are at most at risk are over 60 years old. If you're less than 45 years old, the chance that you're going to die from COVID, you have a 99.9% survival rate. So it's literally, you know, a tenth, a hundredth of 1%.
Should we talk COVID and get political?
Oh,
it's
anything is political. The world has just gone off the rails. I mean, it's just, I'm here in the States and it's just unbelievable. It's just crazy, batshit crazy is all I can say.
This year has been it's hysterical, really. Everyone's just been hysterical about every topic. And, you know, instead of, and this is the big thing. And, like, you know, as you're going to see, I'm wearing the Warrior t-shirt. You kind of like ingrained to go, you know what? Where's my personal responsibility in all of this? Okay, so
exactly right.
I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to go to the gym every week, you know, a few times a week. I'm going to get outside every day. I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to, you know, like, do all the things that I'm going to run my business. Like, the government doesn't control my business. You know, like,
they like to.
Well, they may like to, but this is the thing. At the end of the day, if I don't get out of bed, like, they don't control my business. I'm like, you can't be a victim to what's going on in politics. It's so, like, this is the bigger conversation that, you know, I actually heard.
It's control. It's all about control. And, you know, when you talk about the personal responsibility, it literally comes down to act like a responsible human being. If there's a threat out there, do what's necessary to minimize that threat. You don't need the government to tell you what to do, for crying out loud. This is basic common hygiene.
Yeah, it's victimism and entitlement. You know, if you start blaming everyone with the government, and
it's no fair. It's no fair, right? So it's like, the world's not fair.
No.
Who said it was? Who said it ever was?
Yeah, you know, kids argue about how fair things are, you know, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of grown-up kids about.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's really interesting here in California. We've had a really restrictive scenario, government mandated lockdowns. They've got this crazy rating on what can be open and what can't be open. And a lot of businesses have failed because they've just literally shut them down. They can't do any business. Yeah. And so during this period, you know, there was 6 weeks where I wasn't supposed to be outside the house, but I broke the law and came to work by myself because I'm the only one here. Yeah. But I took the time to create a campaign, and I did that on LinkedIn. And the goal for this campaign was to connect with business owners that had $1 million to $10 million businesses. And during the last 6 months, I've connected with over 6,000 business owners. And I've had over 450 conversations like what we're doing now.
Sure.
Over 450 of them with businesses of all different sizes in all different parts of the country, just to try and understand how they're thinking and how they're reacting to all of these events. And the staggering thing for us as a coach and a guide, I don't even like to use the term advisor. I don't want to advise someone. I want to guide them. The thing that is so challenging is just the lack or failure of vision on the part of the business owners. And I think that one of the biggest things that we can do is help business owners to craft a vision that they want to head to. They don't have that. They're so tied up on the making the payroll and earning the money and paying their bills. They're just into this repetitive hamster cycle of activity. But to what end? You can't ever get to a point of anti-hustle or zero hustle until you have a destination that you're moving toward.
It's interesting because, like, I really feel for all the local business, because it's been the same here. You know, they shut down random businesses like that just for no real reason. And, I feel for those guys. Like, I was, instead of shopping at the big name brands kind of thing, I was shopping at the local grocery store, spending three times as much just to help them out. Because it's like, they need it more at this time. But when you look at, I've also been, talking to a lot of people during this time as well. And, I've reached out to a few people and even a couple of past clients and sort of said, this is where I think you should be headed. And I think COVID has scared people into, we just need to maintain versus growing. And what I'm actually very proud of my own clients for is they've been trying to grow. And when this first hit, I lost a few clients, and the other ones that stayed on, I said, now is your time to really grow, because so many people will be scared. They will be just hunkering down. Now's the time to actually extend yourself. And everyone's been going really well. I've been actually very surprised, like probably more surprised than I thought, by how much people have been growing and the foundations that they've laid and that sort of thing. It's been very interesting. But I guess looking back to when I started this business in 2009, like I started in the middle of the GFC, and we were doing huge launches. Everyone was, spending money. So it's, you've got to realize that there's people out there that want to spend, that want to continue growing in the hard times. They want to buy a solution to the problem that they have.
This is an interesting concept, James, and I don't know there's a generalization that I can make, because everybody's business is different. But this is one thing that, I spend a lot of time thinking, and you can tell from behind me, I spend a tremendous amount of time reading. This is like 1/6 of my normal library. So I read, an enormous amount. I follow history. I've read a lot of the, historical classics to try and understand what's happened in history before us. And philosophically, this question of what is growth? What does that mean? And for so many, probably 99.9% of the people that are out there equate growth with consumerism. And if we look at the world that we live in today, we look at these horrendous fires that we're having, we're looking at, global warming and climate change and, of all these issues with food and the pandemic and everything else. It really comes down to our impact on the world as as a business or as an individual is significant. And the resources of the world are coming to an end at some point soon, unless we make some really, really serious changes. So I would challenge everyone, and especially anyone that is wanting to work with James. His world is about anti-hustle. It's about building a business without being so crazy busy and so consumed by activity. And I would further expand that into saying, how do we grow without consuming or without impacting? And that may change your definition of what growth is. And it may change it for the good, because as we are the ones, as entrepreneurs, we are the ones that make things happen. Corporations just consume. They're all about, sucking materials, sucking resources, selling as much as you can, not really considering the full impact on what's happening. This is why they move production to Asia or to low-cost areas, because they can do it for less, with less impact, less regulation. We have to take responsibility for that at an individual level.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people see growth, and especially at the corporate level, bigger level, as control versus just growth.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And this is I think that creates a negative impact on the globe. And
well, growth with consequence. There's no consideration for the consequence. And we have to literally look at the growth of consequence. This whole concept, I used to be confused about the concept of sustainability. Sustainability means being able to continue living at the root level. So how do we build sustainable businesses with the least impact? And the way that we have to do that is we have to be very select in our activities and what we do. That includes our time, that includes our efforts. It includes the people that we work with, the services that we're offering. It includes the whole integration of components that make our business possible.
Yeah, I was at a lunch actually the other day with Michael Maidens and a couple other guys here. They got a group of kind of marketers and business people together here for lunch the other day. And I was chatting to one of the guys there I hadn't met before, and he runs a business and helping in kind of the autoimmune disease space. And we were talking about growth, and he was saying, we were talking about webinars and numbers kind of thing to a point. And it got to the point where I kind of asked, and we were having the discussion about, why are we growing? Why are you growing? He's doing great work, getting great results with these people that, have chronic fatigue syndrome.
Right.
Getting great results. And I said, don't grow, you don't need to grow just for the sake of the numbers. Grow for the sake of the results you're producing for your client.
Absolutely.
It's got to be about the impact. And it's we were talking earlier about our ideal client, maybe before we started recording here, but choosing your client by the impact they're creating. That's how I choose a client. So what impact are they able to create on the world? Not just, am I able to make them grow? I couldn't give a rat's ass really about monetary growth. It's more about what is the impact. And I guess that was trained into me from Jeff Walker. And I was talking about this with Michael the other day, that, I still use the foundational principles that Jeff taught me years ago. It's more about, fighting the good fight. As I said, helping good people do good things versus just growth for the sake of growth. Growth is easy. Business is essentially easy, but it often gets convoluted and, kind of, I guess, complicated when we lose sight of the true vision, like you were talking about it earlier, that bigger, cleaner vision, I guess, for want of a better word, better term, that bigger vision where the impact we're creating is actually helping everything we touch.
This is giving me some really interesting ideas. It's like you and I both tend to work with entrepreneurs that are established. We tend to work with entrepreneurs that are already successful. Yeah. Because we don't want the resistance of struggle bunnies, right? So many businesses, they use the excuse that they're struggling. They don't have the money. There's always an excuse. And, that's a mindset thing that takes a long time to reverse. But here's a very interesting concept, is that I value more than anything else, more than the financial results, more than anything else, is time. Because every minute, every hour that I spend is gone forever. And the conversation that we're having right now, I have no idea how many people are listening to this. I have no idea how many people will listen to it in the future. But I do know that the concepts that we're talking about right now are going to land with a lot of people, because they're in this conflict they're trying to resolve, and they're not ready to go. So here's a concept I'd like you to think about. And this is something that maybe that we can explore over the next few weeks and next few months as we do this. And who knows, maybe this could turn into a regular Friday afternoon event. It's been our regular Friday afternoon conversation for a while now, but maybe this could turn into a Friday conversation that we share with whoever wants to watch. But as we liberate more time in our schedule, why can't we magnify that time and multiply that time through our clients by saying, I want each one of you as a client to bring 10 up and coming young entrepreneurs to listen to what we're going to talk about. And it won't cost them anything, but we can multiply our effort 10 times 10 times 10 times however many people that we've worked with. I mean, if I can imagine having, the 250 companies I've worked with, if they brought 10 people to the Friday deal, and those people that help them to get their feet on the ground and growing to the point where they could really engage in a meaningful way, that'd be 2,500 businesses.
Yeah, that's actually, we have been doing this for a long time now, just this Friday. Well, it's a Saturday discussion for me. So you're in the future now, Mark. But
I know that's the beautiful thing I like about talking to James, because every time I get to talk to him, I get to talk to him in the future.
But we have been talking for a long time now, and this is the first time we thought, let's just put it on Facebook. We didn't even really know how to hook it up there, so we just threw it up, but
we winged it.
But it is a very valid point, and maybe we will regularly post this and go live with this on a Saturday morning, my time, and Friday afternoon, your time, just so that other people can listen in. And like, I'm in this conversation, I'm not here to teach. We're just having a conversation and a discussion, really.
Nothing to sell, nothing to buy. There's absolutely nothing on the table.
No, it's just a conversation and just to open up different discussions. We've talked about all sorts of things in the past few months. Everything from politics to sex to surf to drugs to whatever. And I think, I really appreciate the fact that you said younger people there, because I've often wanted to, and I have in the past reached out to try and put forward the opportunity to mentor much younger kids, under the age of 20, people starting.
Right, Gen Z. It's an up and coming generation. Yeah,
16 to 20-year-olds that want to just build a business, build a real business. Because this is the other thing that I think is missing in the online conversation, is building a real business versus building a funnel. I think a lot of people think of the online world as this quick fix money thing, or an extra, the muse on the side, versus building a real business. And I know that you think of it this way, that and from our kind of launch background and all that sort of thing, it's no different to building a real business, whether it's online or offline, or
channel.
We talk, and I may be speaking for you here, but I know that you think this way. We teach principles. Mm-hmm. We're not tactical people. It's strategic. It's principle based. It's long-term thinking, you know, laying foundations so that you're able to grow quickly. It's very basic. Like, business is very basic on the whole. And yet people are very reluctant to, I think, slow down, take away the hustle. Like, I talk about removing the ridiculous a lot. They're very reluctant to slow down enough to look at a business and go, okay, well, what are the pieces of the puzzle that I actually need? What are the foundations I need to lay? Like, as we were talking about profit first as a money system before. You know, I'm constantly saying to my guys, slow down, slow down. Take the time to think about where you're going, what you're doing, what foundation. Think about what you need to remove from the business. Like, I'm constantly at that. And yet so many people are caught, you know, they say the information age is a beautiful age. It's been absolutely horrendous to business, I think.
Well, it was a classic book that was written by a guy named Nate Silver a few years ago, and it's called The Signal and the Noise. It's a classic term from electronics, where you're trying to separate the signal from the static around us. And what we see today with social media and all of the channels that people can access information, whether it's news channels or whatever, there's so much information swirling around, and that information is worthless until it gets turned into a meaningful output, which is knowledge. And the big challenge that we're facing today is this information real? And I think one of the things that I'm obsessed with, and one of the reasons why I spend so much time delving into the history, the recorded history of the world, is to understand how humans behave, what's happened in the past, how does that apply to us today? And what makes us so strategic is, you know, I know it's not trendy. I know it's not, you know, not going to see this on Instagram and, you know, in all the latest channels. But it comes down to the math. It comes down to the statistics. We hear the, like, I want to follow the science, you know, I'm going to follow the science. That's becoming meaningless because nobody knows what follow the science means anymore. But what we strive to do in our discussions that we've had for so many weeks now is about reducing this down to simplify the complex. Let's clarify the complex. And that's, you know, James, you're an excellent at simplifying complexity, and I'm really good at adding clarity to complexity. And the combination of the two gives the people we work with and the people we come in contact with the ability to see the signal, what is important, what is going to move them ahead in a positive way. That's what the whole purpose is. It's their individual meaning that they're able to determine.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I had a guy that I chatted with last week, earlier this week, and he literally had jumped on the phone, told me about what he wants to do. And this guy was a living, like, he was a fitness trainer, living, breathing specimen of what he promoted.
Mm-hmm.
And had spent the last 2 years consuming information, books, videos, courses, spent thousands of dollars and done nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't taken any action, to the point where he ended up in tears on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it, yeah, as I was saying about the information age, it's like, it's great, but without any clarity, without any direction, without any vision, like we were talking about earlier, without any, like, guidance. And sometimes, you know, people, like, they've got to be honest with themselves and just tell themselves that they need a slap in the ass every so often from someone else to actually make them do something. And I guess, you know, this is a little bit about what we do in the Anti-Hustle Academy. It's like, I'm getting rid of all the extra bullshit and just getting you to implement on one or two things. And really, to find that clarity, sometimes we have to go down different paths. I've had a couple of clients lately where they've been so drawn into this online world that they, you know, they're wanting to start coaching businesses and all this sort of stuff. And yet they had another business on the side that was actually growing organically that they were wanting to set aside for this coaching business because they'd bought into all the information marketing and all the tactics and instead of just following what was actually working and being able to help them get through the forest and see the one tree that they had to climb is, you know, it's transformative for them. And this is like, you know, I think this is where we both excel really, but it's so imperative in business. And it doesn't matter where you're coming at it from, you've always got too much complexity in your business. Mm-hmm. Even at the simplest form.
Occam's razor, the simplest solution is the right one. You know, and I think that this is why you are such a good expert. And I hope this is why I'm an expert in what I do, is the ability to look at that forest and to be able to pick out that one tree that makes a difference, to know what it is that's going to make the big difference for you. But it's not something that I can point and say, do this, do that. The real success, to reach real success, each client has to come to their own realization for themselves on their terms, not advise me for me. All I can do is guide you to meaning in your life. And that's really what you do. That's really what I do, is to be the trusted guide.
Yeah. And it's, as I said, sometimes you have to go down the wrong path. And this happened with one of my clients just recently. We went down the wrong path just to see that it wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And like from my perspective, I'm looking going, okay, you want to go down that path? You go down the path. Like, I'll wait back for you here at the Y junction. And when you come back, we'll go this way.
I've been down that path before and I don't want to go down it again, but you're free to go down there. And when you claw your way back, then you'll say, what did you learn?
But yeah, and this is the thing, even with profit first in the money system, people have to lose their money over and over and over again, or live for so long in complete scarcity, thinking, I've just got to work harder, I've just got to work longer, I've just got to do more, I've just got to, you know, before they realize, oh, I just don't have a money system in place. Mm-hmm. And when that switch goes off, it's a complete game changer. You know, it's kind of funny, and you know, we've all been there, we've all grown up, you know, we've all experienced this, you know, this sort of stuff. I certainly don't claim to be perfect in any way, shape or form, but it's always interesting to watch other people have that realization. As I was saying, one of my clients, Tim, this year, they implemented late last year, Profit First. It was a complete game changer for their business, going from, you know, dipping into their own pocket to having an excess of cash to be able to make huge decisions in the business and grow wildly, which is fantastic.
I remember when I first got in business years ago, I was always broke. I never had money in my business account. And yet I was pushing through 300,000 a month in cash flow, but I never had, I didn't have $10 in my pocket to buy lunch.
Yeah.
And I can remember going to the bank and the teller saying, you know, how's it going? And I go, well, okay. I mean, I don't have any problems that a pound of 50s wouldn't cure, a pound of $50 bills. And she had just been doing a mailing and had been putting stamps on the envelopes when you used to do that. And she goes, she had a postal scale there. And she said, well, let's just find out how much a pound of 50s really is. And she put a pound of $50 bills on that scale. And I was shocked at how little it actually was. So I said, well, maybe I should say, I don't have any problems that a pound of hundreds wouldn't cure. But it's just such a funny perception of what we think we are. And I used to go to the bank and I would take $1,000 out of the bank and put it in my wallet for 2 days just to feel like I had some money in my pocket. And if
Yeah.
that's not coming from a position of scarcity, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I've got this temporary loan from myself to feel like I'm being prosperous.
Yeah.
Wrong priorities, wrong, just wrong.
You know, this, and I think a lot of people, like I just had a client tell me this a few months back. This when he just, well, probably 6 months ago when he just started with me, just after COVID hit. And he said to me, James, for the last 4 years, I've woken up every single day feeling broke, feeling like I have to hustle, feeling like I'm going broke. And as soon as we put Profit First in place, he was like, I wake up and I don't have that feeling anymore. And that to me is like, if I do no more than just teach him that one thing, that's enough done.
So here's a moment of clarity. Broke is temporary. Poor is a state of mind. So if somebody tells me they're poor, we got real problems. If somebody's broke, we can fix that real quick.
Yeah. It's the whole money conversation. And I don't really know how we got onto this topic at the start. We always go in a different direction each week, but the whole money conversation, it's such a, it's, as I said, it's funny how it is a taboo topic. Not many people really divulge all of the details around the dining room table with their kids. And
never. Yeah. Not my life anyway.
No, not in mine either. And it's been very interesting for me to be able to talk with business owners and actually really talk money. And as I said, you still get the occasional one that's not transparent. But the ones that do come forward and come clean, it's really interesting just to see the change that they go through, being able to reveal everything and then fix it. Because they get the problems are obvious and the fixes aren't hard. This is the thing, as I keep saying, with business is easy. The fixes are easy. It's us and our beliefs that actually stop us making those fixes. And that's the hard bit. I mean, that's honestly, I've got a long, 20-year direct response marketing background, 10 years mentor, 11 years and 3 months, I think I saw on LinkedIn the other day, since I started my company mentoring, full time. And, it's very interesting that, money still comes up as the biggest topic, really, and as I was saying, in all that time, 20 years experience marketing, 10 years mentoring, within my group and with a lot of my clients, I rarely talk marketing. It's mostly mindset. It's mostly around
I call it mind shift. Not mindset, mind shift.
And that's the thing, I'm happy to go down the rabbit hole and talk marketing all day long, but rarely is that the problem. Yeah.
The whole purpose of marketing is to create demand. And if the offer is right in the first place, you don't need to create demand. Demand will generate itself.
True. Yep. I was talking actually with Michael the other day, and we we're talking about his business and a couple other businesses, and we're saying one of the things I say to my clients is, if you can grow your business organically, you won't be able to stop it with advertising. And yet most people try to start their business with advertising and wonder why they go nowhere. They really struggle mostly because they haven't done the research. People are lazy on the front end.
And coming also from false beliefs. There's assumptions about where the market is or what the belief around the product is or the outcome. And really that is clarifying the complex. What is really going on here? And it's a big challenge because we tend to make things way more complex than they need to be. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, It's a funny world, as they say. So what's on for the rest of your weekend, day ahead?
Well, today it's the end of my day, so I'm going to be happy to go home and got a nice walk for the rest of the day to gather my thoughts and reflect back on our conversation today. The weekend is my thinking time. It's when I read, it's when I think, it's when I conceptualize, it's when I put things together. And I'm working on a bunch of really cool things right now for 2021, reflecting back on 2020 and the impact that COVID has had. And I'm looking at it not from the standpoint of the physical impact of the disease or whatever, but just on the global impact of businesses that were not prepared for unexpected crisis. And it could have been a fire, it could have been a typhoon, it could have been a flood, it could have been a terrorist attack, could have been a pandemic, it could have been anything. But the fact of the matter is, this was a global event that literally exposed millions of businesses to the fact that they weren't prepared. And that's really where we are moving forward in 2021 is how do we get you prepared for whatever comes, whatever it is.
And it's, yeah, actually, it's super interesting that you mentioned that, because coming full circle, this is about profit first. If people, we actually started this conversation talking about the impact that we have in the world kind of thing, or with our clients, but looking at how COVID has impacted so many millions of businesses, if they had a money system in place, how many more of those would have survived?
Right.
Like, it is such a simple concept to implement, and yet very few do it. Like, I think what Mike has developed there is absolutely transformative as far as from a global business scale. He is like hit the nail on the head.
And it's accessible. It's accessible to anybody.
It is so simple that like a kid could implement it. And
yes.
That's the beauty in it. And because of that, it's so powerful. And if you imagine, just like go step back to, if Profit First had have been like globally available 5 years ago, and it like more businesses, millions more businesses had it in place, coming up to COVID, it would have been like a blip.
Exactly.
Like COVID would have been a blip on the business world.
I have not had one client that's using Profit First fail. And I cannot say that about the clients that were not.
Yeah.
There's a significant number. Literally every week, we're losing one or two businesses that we had relationships with in various stages of development or whatever that didn't take action, and they simply ran out of cash. When you run out of cash, you're out of business. Pure and simple.
Opportunities fall away when there's nothing to fuel it. We, at the very start of this conversation, before we started recording, we were talking about time and money, and Mother Teresa and Gandhi. They're probably the only two that have got away without having any money in their pocket, but they had plenty of resources, which allowed money, but they had the time to implement.
The time.
And we all have that. And we all have the time to implement something as simple as Profit First. I think we should probably end it on that note.
I think so. Great little conversation for a first time through.
Yeah, actually, we're first time recording. We're like movie stars, Mark.
A legend in our own minds.
Exactly. I'll stop it there, and we can continue chatting after the live stream. But I hope people have enjoyed it.